9:05 a.m. We'll call it to order. First order of business is the approval of the minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve it, or if there's any corrections or additions?
I make a motion we approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Wildeboer and Jonathan second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, anybody opposed? Good. We have some minutes. Let's move on to the approval of the agenda. Does everybody have a copy of the agenda? I believe it's up on your screen.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
And do I hear a second? A second here in the room, Stephanie, Ms. Walker. So all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Great. Okay, next item is number 5, an update of Legion Stadium synthetic turf update. Amy, is that you or Eddie or?
Sally's actually going to lead us through that presentation, and I'm going to ask her to go through the turf slide and then throw it back to me for a second, and then she's going to take us through the capital project presentation.
Wonderful. And Sally, could you introduce yourself too, so that all the members know?
Happily, sure. All right, can everyone see the presentation? Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Sally Thigpen. I'm Assistant Parks and Recreation Department Director. And as Amy said, I'm going to go through the needs out at our different athletic sites. But of course, we do want to celebrate the field.
Wow.
So I'll let Amy talk about that a little bit.
Sure. So this was a long time coming, and really something that this board should celebrate is you were the impetus to make the recommendation to your respective bodies to fund the project actually outside of the traditional budget process. And great news is that the cost estimate was $690,000. And so that was what was jointly appropriated among the 3 bodies, but the contract award came in at $494,546. So we have some funding left over.
Wow.
It was completed July 9th, and as was spec'd in the scope, it has lines sewn in for football, men's and women's soccer, men's and women's lacrosse, as well as media lines. And this will save on some labor costs. And then what's really exciting that we didn't have with the last turf that was replaced is we've got New Hanover High School's logo at center field, and the end zones both have the Wildcat language in there. So
All sewn in though, right?
also everything you see there is sewn in, everything, all the language of it, that's all sewn in. So that's
Amy,
perfect.
what is it? Oh, shoot, Sally, what is a media line?
So that just helps to keep press, media who have press credentials sort of cordoned where we want them to be and not encroach upon the.
See, on the side.
Yeah, so you have to stay behind that line.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. God, that just looks so good. Are we pushing this photo out to the press?
News. I've seen it once already.
Yes, we have gotten some media attention. We put it in our city council's weekly update a couple of weeks ago, and that's generated to the media as well as to the city council members. So we had a couple of, I think WWAY and ECT picked it up.
Then did we send a copy to Josh Smith over at the county so that we have it?
If we did not, we will do that.
If you could, please. I mean, that just looks fantastic.
I
God.
did see it on the news, and I tell you, it made us look very good.
Yeah, all right.
It made the county and schools look very good with the new logo, and it definitely pops.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you guys would send it to Miss Beam too, over with schools,
Okay,
please.
because you can put an update on our website as well.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, that'd be awesome.
Seeing solar panels down at the far right.
Those are actually portable bleachers.
Ah, I see.
It does absolutely.
Yeah, right. Gosh, yeah, we just,
And so we've got Eddie and Tara on the phone representing the school district and New Hanover County from the staff level. And so since we do have some money left over, we'll have conversations at the staff level that will obviously rise to the manager level and elected officials over whether you want that reimbursed or if you want us to hold on to it, especially considering the needs that you're going to see in the coming slides. So that's a decision to be made in the future.
So how much is that total, you know, like 200,000 or 180 or something?
Got that? The balance remaining is 195,454. Divided by the three entities is $65,151.34.
34 cents, we sure, yeah. Yes. Wow, that's just wonderful. So I'm sure, I know we have other needs, so,
Yeah, so we'll roll into those unless anybody has any other questions and comments about the chart.
you know, do we, is there any action that's needed by the commission here?
No, we just wanted to update you.
Great, thanks.
I have a question.
Sure, yes. This
Do
one,
we want to do anything? I mean, I know we're gonna push it out on our side for everything. Is there anything bigger we want to do just to highlight it or?
Has been cutting.
Yeah, or something, I don't know. I think it's been something to be very proud of. And I think for Hanover, it's definitely will be very nice and helpful for their morale.
yeah.
Maybe have
There
some-
is
Good idea.
What do you think, Pete?
there's a flyover, the video that I have and I've shared with the school and shared with Christina Beam with communications. So we're gonna put that on our website and to help, highlight it.
But I think Ms. Walker's point is, I think, well taken. I think it's a great idea. I mean, maybe, it's not for us, but I mean, to celebrate New Hanover and, and maybe have, Mr. Sutton out there, have a ribbon cutting, have all the entities, have the county commissioners out there and the city and everybody. I mean, celebrating a lot of money we spent on it. So I think, and given it's great that we're under budget, but I think maybe having a, doesn't have to be a costly one, just a very inexpensive, picture opportunity, and it'd be great for, I think it is. I agree with Ms. Walker. I think maybe to celebrate, just have definitely have a lot of the parents from New Hanover out there, and
Yeah, athletes.
We can reach out to New Hanover's principal, Mr. Sutton, and ask him and coordinate that with him. We're happy to do
Right.
that.
yeah, and maybe Dr. Barnes too, get him kind of involved in there too. So that'd be good.
Sure. I got a flash on my computer, I don't know where it came from, that it looks like Mr. Spears is trying to join.
That's what I was just looking for. Being
Maybe under more? I don't know. Oh,
You can start, maybe you can try again.
see, I know. But we don't,
Maybe
I have no idea.
texting him.
Yeah, I'm gonna call and see if.
Great.
It usually pops up.
Yeah.
I think it's behind the Zoom screen, maybe. Yeah. I was trying to find it, because before it was up in the middle.
All right, Amy's gonna go ahead and call Councilman Spears. In the meantime, let's go ahead and move on, and Amy will update us on the ribbon cutting and get in touch with Mr. Sutton, and we'll send out more information about a date and time to make that happen. So Legion Sports Complex and Robert Strange Park Capital Improvement Plan, I think, Eddie, that's got your name all over it.
Kevin didn't answer. Great, thank you. So what our intention is with this presentation is to ask for the board to consider making a recommendation or not for city, school, and county staff to make a recommendation to our respective 5-year capital improvement plans for this plethora of needs at Legion Sports Complex and Robert Strange Park, which is utilized by Williston Middle School. And this is not a new conversation for this board. We've shown you many of these projects in various forms over the years. We just very recently met internally with city staff, with our budget director and engineer, And the consensus among us was that somehow these projects keep languishing, even though there's great need for them. And so we think we have a fresh path forward that we're excited about. And what we would work with Eddie and Tara to do is basically put these projects into two different buckets. Some of them can be done as a standalone project, meaning they don't need engineering, they don't need design, they don't need a whole lot of feasibility study. They can just be bid out and done. So put those in one bucket, and all of the rest of them that do need that preliminary work, put them into another bucket and hire a consultant to look at what kind of design we need, what kind of engineering, what kind of maybe unforeseen needs that we haven't thought about, and develop an opinion of probable cost and share equally in that consultant. And we would ask our city managers, and we would ask that our counterparts ask their management teams to budget for that consultant in FY '26. And then while that consultant is doing their work on those bucket projects, we would begin to program in the standalone projects that don't need that work independently of that consultant's work over the 5-year plan. So we'll be, again, asking at the end of the meeting for your consideration of that recommendation or not. So with that, I'll ask Sally to go through each of the projects just with a quick description and cost estimate that we currently have that we don't have a whole lot of faith in because they haven't been vetted. And then at the end of the presentation, we'll kind of circle back to the remarks that I just made.
Can you tell us which ones as you go are the standalone and which ones are?
Absolutely.
Thanks for that introduction, Amy. So these are in no particular order. It's really just to display images and descriptions of the different projects for your consideration. So we'll start here with the needs at Legion Stadium, the field house replacement. This is estimated around 1.8 million and would require the demolition of the structure, construction of a new conditioned building with locker rooms and restrooms. As you can see, we've got retrofitted air conditioning here, put in as a temporary measure when the system had failed, and it was supposed to be there for a few months, and it's been kind of limping along. Our facilities team's just been doing their best. So that is this project. Does anybody have any questions?
This is one that we would ask for the consultant, because obviously this is demolition of a building and architecture of the building.
So the building is the one on the right here, this photo on the right,
Yes.
that's the back of it.
That's the back of it. So this faces the football end zone.
Yeah.
And the back of it is facing the baseball
Down
field.
here.
And so it's utilized by, primarily by New Hanover's football team and, New Hanover's baseball team and the Wilmington Sharks, baseball team and the Port City, Football Club, which is a professional soccer club that's playing at the stadium. We do, of course, have locker rooms on the visitor side, but they're smaller, so this is for that larger team sports. They utilize this regularly. It's a integral part of the support structure that's needed for the student athletes.
In men's and women's.
It's really just for men's, just because of the size of the sport. So the women's soccer team, women's lacrosse team, they're able to use the locker rooms under the visitor side bleachers just because it's a smaller roster. So this again is for the larger teams like football and baseball that just simply have larger rosters.
We have Title IX consideration too.
I don't believe so. Mr. Anderson, you can speak to that, but I don't believe that this was identified as any sort of Title IX compliance issue during your voluntary audit. The locker rooms the girls are using are actually in much better shape than this because they're much newer. They're just smaller.
I see.
So what do you say, Andy?
Yeah, I was just saying it. Amy, you're right. This was not brought up as a concern in the Title IX audit.
Do these have showers or not?
Yes.
Are the showers used?
Yeah,
Showers right there, or is that toilets?
there's a toilets, but, it's in the same area, it's just on the other side. They're used, they ain't pretty.
No, I know, I mean, do we know for sure that the athletes use the showers?
They do.
They do.
That air conditioner thing sticking out?
Yes. Yeah, both inside and. So we tried to simply replace the HVAC system, but in order to meet new code, it was gonna be incredibly expensive and requires retrofits to the building, so it didn't make sense to do that really without replacing the entire building, which is why it's temporary.
What's the flooring? Is it just straight cement with paint on it or?
Part of it is cement with paint, and then that brownish
Yes.
area is more of a,
Carpet tile.
yeah.
Carpet tile,
Thank you.
yeah. Okay. Plumbing, is it, what kind of condition is it in?
I think the plumbing's okay.
As far as I know.
Toilets flush? and-
Correct,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. And they do have hot water, right?
Yes.
It's a cement block throughout, right?
Yes.
And these are, an 8-foot fluorescent tube lighting
Yes.
circa 1953.
Right. Yeah, this is an original build.
Yeah.
Stated.
Just checking.
Everything you think.
Yeah. Okay. Hmm,
So here's an example of our concessions. We do have several concession spaces, both on the visitor side and on the main side. So this is just an example of equipment that's not working and is outdated. We have fridges that won't hold temperature, that are taking up space more than anything else. So looking at modernizing this equipment so that we can provide concessions to all of the events that occur here.
And this is a standalone project. This wouldn't require the consultant's work. These concession stands were built in 2000, and much of the equipment that is there is from circa 2000. The city has been able to replace certain, some refrigerated units over the years. They're very expensive. It's all commercial grade, so $5,000 or $10,000 a pop. The city's been able to budget for that over the years, but really it's time for a total redo. And so that's estimated at $130,000. And of course, this serves all of the users of the facility.
Eddie, a question? Hey, Eddie, do you remember if this is the facility the advocate ladies were talking about being a mess?
No,
Party.
I don't think so. The concerns I've heard are dealing with concessions at Brogdon Hall.
Oh,
yes, that's
okay.
right.
Okay, thank you.
So, I had the opportunity to serve on the volunteer part, for sessions in years past. And there are multiple areas that they serve. You serve hot dogs and popcorn and stuff. This is just one area? Is this like the main area, or would $130,000 cover all the different concession areas?
It will cover all the different concession areas. There's 3 concession stands.
Yes.
The north end, the south end, and the first side. And there's certain things that wouldn't, the stainless steel counters, they wouldn't need to be replaced, but it's really the heat and cold holding equipment. And then also things like the menu boards, which are ancient, we'd really like to upgrade to a video
Yeah.
screen.
Sure. Are there any health department considerations here?
I'm sorry, I believe so.
So they're not driving this, it's
It's really just the age of the equipment.
I see.
Does it require health, right?
It's inspected.
Okay.
And we are, they of course test to make sure things are holding at temperature, and so that is a motivating factor to make sure that the equipment's in good working order, because they can ding us on our score if
Yeah.
something that's supposed to be held to a certain heat temperature is not.
So, this number, 130,000, is that you feel comfortable and confident in?
We're gonna update all of the costs prior to the city's CIP
Yeah.
submission. which is generally in October. And again, I'll be working with Eddie and Tara over the next few months as we update our costs to pass those on to them so that there is agreement to equally share in the costs. They have the most updated figures. But the intention is to have all of that work done by October so that when we all really get into the meat of our budget seasons in December, January, February, et cetera, all this work's already done.
So we'll see a cost, estimate
Updated,
update.
yes. But we did want to give you a general idea of today so that you could make a decision about it.
And Mr. Chairman, when does the decision need to be made?
So today we would be asking you to consider recommending city, county, and school staff to prepare a 5-year CIP plan beginning in fiscal year 26. And again, the city's staff recommendation would be that we request in fiscal year 26 money for a consultant to study and make updated cost, opinion of probability and identify feasibility issues, engineering issues, architectural issues. So that's all the work that we would ask the consultant to do, which we believe would give us and then ultimately give you a better idea of these bigger projects that need those, a path forward over the following 4 years about how much is that gonna really cost us, because just what we have found with city projects over the past, 5+ years is the cost estimates, the preliminary cost estimates just don't hold up. And we find ourselves in a position of having to go back to city council once the projects are actually bid and awarded, that we're all taken by surprise, and we don't want that to happen here. And again, we just saw it as a strategy because we have been submitting these projects for consideration and they just haven't been gaining any traction. So we thought it was a good strategy to have a consultant and have that as a project. And again, while that work is going on, do some of these standalone projects like buying concession equipment. I hope that answered your question, Commissioner.
It does. Tara, can you take the lead on that for the county?
Tara, we couldn't hear what you said.
I'm asking if Tara can take the lead on that for the county.
Right, I hear you, Mr. Barfield. Tara, are you on? Or if you're on mute, we can't hear you. Okay.
We can certainly come back to her.
Sounds not working.
She got pulled away.
I wonder, can I, Mr. Chairman, ask a
Yes.
question? I don't know if it was this body or our school district that talked about adding in like cost estimates, padding that a little bit. I mean, we were fortunate that Lincoln Stadium came in under, so there's hope that maybe.
Yeah, and you're gonna see, we're gonna show you at the end of the presentation, the total of what our numbers are right now and what we currently have submitted for the next 5 years, which is gonna change because we developed that before we went to this consultant idea. But we have in that, remind me the contingency we have, is it
30% construction
and 20% design?
design.
So we've already got a healthy contingency built in here, but we just feel better having more questions answered on the front end.
Commissioner Barfield, we'll get back. Oh, there she goes. Here comes Tara.
She was saying.
Great. Gary, you with us?
Just have sound issues.
Yeah, Tara, you can hear us. We can't hear you. Please unmute.
Muted last one.
Yeah, I see the one there. Okay.
I'll let her know, I'll text her
Yeah.
and let her know we can't hear her, Sally.
All right.
Sure.
One quick question while we're kind of waiting before we move on. Is there any information that was, written information or any reports from these other times that these have all risen forward?
Yeah.
So nothing we can piggyback off of. So, okay. All right. Good enough. Jonathan will ask that question again. Tara's having some trouble getting on. As soon as she gets back on, we'll go back to that. Meanwhile, let's, Sally, I guess, let's move ahead.
Sure, thank you. So this project is removing this defunct fire tower and improving the back parking lot. This represents some important parking space for overflow and larger scale events. They'll overflow and actually park on this back field, which is not that desirable. We're getting a lot more use on this back field. So that's the $140,000 demo cost, and then the back parking lot. So Amy will probably say this, so I'll beat her to it. The fire tower demo, it would be a standalone project. The parking lots do have planning and zoning requirements applied to them, so they'll require design and landscape, et cetera, to meet our city code.
So this is a consultant project.
For the parking lot, yes, sir.
And have we done a phase 1 or phase 2 environmental on this, on the fire tower? The concern is foam, fire foam, PFAS.
That's a great question, and I don't know the answer to that, but we can find out. And if we don't have one, then that would probably push that into the consultant.
But we already were, she just said. we already-
I think the thought was that the demo would be standalone, but the back parking lot would require the consultant because it requires a landscape architect to design it.
We can check on that. That PFOS is, something that's a major concern.
That's a great.
The estimate is based on a quote that was acquired some years ago, so I can go and investigate if that was included in the scope.
Probably have to come on a phase 2 environmental study.
Putting the back parking just to grass, back to grass, that's what it looks like.
So
It'll
what
stay
the
strong.
intention is, right now, people are parking on the grassed backfield. The plan is to create an actual parking lot behind the field where the fire tower is.
Surface park.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
How many spaces?
We don't know that yet, because again, because of zoning, it will require certain landscape
Sure.
islands, so that will be determined.
And it would be access off, what's that?
Lakeshore Drive,
Lakeshore Drive.
which is connected to Carolina Beach by Stadium Drive, so you can get there from the main parking lot that will be interconnected.
Got it. Right, before we move on, are there any other questions from other committee members? Okay, let's move on.
Another parking lot project, this is in front of the pool area between the armory and the stadium. So the purpose of this project would be to formalize this parking that's highly used by both pool and stadium attendees. Again, this would require design to meet zoning requirements.
So again, a consultant.
Correct.
Yeah, the area we're talking about is all unpaved at this point. I think I've parked there multiple times.
It's pretty rutted out. We go in there trying to fill it periodically, but it gets pretty rutted out.
Very dusty during the summer and really muddy during rain periods.
Yes, it would represent a huge improvement for the user experience.
I'm sure that whatever improvement we did paving wise would be pervious pavement or some sort of consideration for the impervious areas that we added. All I'm saying for stormwater.
Yeah, we have done research on some of these projects because some of them were included in the original Legion Sports Complex master plan. And so for example, the surface parking lot that we were just taking a look at the fire tower. There is enough stormwater capacity for that. This one was not in the original master plan, so that would be something that we would ask the consultant to look at as a review of the stormwater permit. Certainly, I think that we would all desire pervious. That sometimes comes down to budget, but
Yes.
we will be researching permits with the consultant.
Permits very old. For this property.
Well, the last major improvements were in 2000, so it's not as old as you might think, and so again, that file has been most recently, just before Richard King left, and we were looking at some of these, so we're not in too bad a shape in terms of.
Any thoughts about, dealing with these utilities, or do we run afoul of the historic preservation commission? It's a joke.
Yeah, now it's saying it's a historical pole.
Yes.
That's an old pole right there.
We do have some utilities and some of the projects that you'll be seeing forthcoming, but that pole is not one of them. Probably gonna stay. Unless Duke so kindly wants to come along and bury it.
Yes, please do, yes. Can't believe it's lasted this long without being hit, maybe it has.
It looks kind of tilted, unless that was hurricane went down.
Great. Any questions from committee members on this front parking lot improvement plan? Okay, moving on.
This is a smaller project to install handrails along the stair aisles in the stands.
And so this seems like an odd one, but you may be able to see in the center staircase there that's leading up to the red seats, there are no rails there. And that is a bit of a safety concern. So it's finding the spots in the stadium where it is missing handrails and installing them.
So do we put a center handrail in, or are we talking about on both sides, or what?
I think center, because I think if you put it in on both sides, it becomes a little bit of a fire hazard, so I think it's a center one. And this can be a standalone project, and the good news is that it's not too much money. And
Yeah.
so maybe that's one we consider with the money left over from the synthetic turf.
Have there been any slip and falls issues?
It's been.
Not that it's been reported.
Good. Is it just this center aisle, or are
There's
there other areas?
There's a few missing spaces. You can actually see, I don't have a pointer, but even the aisles that have rails, they don't go, they're intermittent. So. It's like this one just
Yeah.
goes right here, so it's missing here and it's missing up there.
What are the orange things you're seeing there? Are those separate chairs, or what are they?
Yeah, those are chairs with seat backs, so I guess it's sort of the premium seating. I'm not sure how the school uses it, if they put the boosters there or whatnot. I guess that's the kind of decision, but it's just a little bit nicer seats.
Are they fixed, or?
They're fixed.
Good.
They're like theater style.
Good.
Are there permanent seats there for board members of the legislative commission by chance?
Absolutely. I'm thinking about seeing if I have money to buy some plaques,
Yeah. Oh,
nameplates.
yeah. Special parking too. Yeah. I think the answer is no, Commissioner Barfield. Just to make sure it's clear. Yes. All right, any other questions from other committee members on the handrail? Which would fall in the immediate category or the standalone, right?
I do have one question.
Yes,
But-
please.
So this is pretty low. I mean, the money's available now, so anything that we can prove, we can do it now. Like, I mean, today's meeting, like.
You can make a recommendation. Yeah.
Saying it's there.
Next.
All right, we're moving over to Buck Hardy Field. This project, approximately $350,000, is to convert the field lighting to LED. And also includes cost estimate for electrical installation.
Questions, Jim?
Yes.
So, the conversion, so it's not a case of you can just put new light bulbs in, you have to replace system.
Fixtures would need to
Fixtures
be
need to be
replaced.
like, yeah, you know, at home you can just change the light, well, to a different bulb, I was just wondering if that was the same, but they do.
That's one thing that I've asked staff to look into. There's a few different lighting projects here. And so if there's any circuitry work that needs to be done, which on Buck Hardy, I believe there is, then that would fall into the consultants bucket. If it's, some of them though will in all likelihood just be changing out the fixture, and that can be standard.
If I could ask Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
are our other high schools, are they all LED or are they some of both or what?
So
Go ahead, sorry.
I think we have not converted all of the fields to LED. Anything that's been done recently has been LED, I think. But not all of them have been converted at this point.
Okay, thanks, sir.
One question, what's the time frame for these projects in terms of when you want to get them done, budget wise?
Well, that's what we're here to talk about. Again, the costs that you're seeing right now need to be updated, and that's what we'll be working on from now until October. The projects that are going into that consultant bucket, that part of that consultant's work will be to hone in on an opinion of probable cost. So not a preliminary cost, but a real probable cost. And again, what we'll be asking for is the board's consideration for recommending that we pay for that consultant, that we budget for that consultant in fiscal year 26. And then the standalone projects, we will ask county staff and school staff to work with us in programming them in years 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. And then once we get the consultants report back, start programming those in over those next 3 years as well. It's a bit of a chicken and an egg thing, just because of the, you know, sort of strange working relationship that we have. We would love to be able to have all the answers to you and just go to the county and go to the schools and say, this is how much money we need from you in this particular year. But because the city's CIP is dynamic, and then there's other considerations and other needs across the city, we don't yet know what our CIP is gonna look like for 26 through 7 to 8, et cetera. So really what we're asking today is for you to consider the path forward that we've identified, and that is to pay for a consultant in fiscal year 26 to start getting better information, better cost information, so that we are able to tell the county and the schools, we need X amount of dollars in fiscal year 27. We would like X amount of dollars in fiscal year 28.
Why do you need a consultant to pave a parking lot? Why don't you just get an estimate and figure out what the cost is versus having a third level or a third layer that's costing money?
That's a great question, and I wish we could do it that way, but because of the city's development codes and zoning, it needs an actual site plan that's done by an architect. It requires certain landscaping, and the area also needs to be graded, so there needs to be, you know, an engineered grading plan. So unfortunately, it's not, we're not able to just go out and have our streets department go out and put down some asphalt because it wouldn't meet code.
I think that's exactly what we did at Longley Park and putting basketball courts in, just went out and got it done.
And yeah, I mean, we have different codes, so I don't know what, maybe the county's code is less stringent than the city's code. But we have run this conversation through planning, and that's the answer that they provided back to us.
So my question was a simple one. Do we know how much money we'll be saving on energy with LED conversion?
We can get that to you, in the city CIP process, that's an actual requirement that we attach any operational changes, whether it be to the good or to the bad. So whenever we change over to LED, that is data that we require to put through our process so we can get that answer for you.
Am I correct in looking at, again, back to this, the Buck Hardy lighting? There are three, major, light poles, towers? Am I right?
I think there are three.
Actually, it looks like it's out, just want to make sure. And is this a thing we can go to Musco with, or we look to the consultant to give us a?
Most likely it would be Musco.
Excuse me, yes, the early estimates are from Musco quotes that are a couple of years old now.
That's the 350, correct? Okay. Is there, more?
Yeah.
All right, continuing on, this is a field improvement project. Converting the natural turf field to synthetic, also building new dugouts and sinking them. Relocating and potentially replacing the fencing. This cost is approximately 1.9 million.
Oh, yeah, I think so. So we're basically rebuilding Buck Hardy Field. With the exception of the stands.
I mean, we're not doing anything to the outfield, not doing anything to backstop fencing. So basically, this is, synthetic turf and something about else, which are more common, but it's nothing else that we have there.
Consulting.
We would actually break this out. I believe the dugouts could be done as a standalone as well as the synthetic turf. Actually, this whole entire one is a standalone. That's
Thanks. This project was broken out just for utilities, sewer, water, electric, and internet upgrades, so improvements across the whole site, estimated at approximately 400,000.
we've had a number of sewer failures. The infrastructure, sewer and water is very old there. We have unfortunately intermittent power outages with the electric, which is why I was saying before that the Buck Hardy line replacement would actually require circuitry work. Therefore, be consulted.
Do you have any obligation to incorporate anything?
So
I'm sorry, I missed that.
So this one is really driven by the Sharks. And is reflective of the proposal that he came to us with years ago. Matt Perry came to the board with that $6 million project that has not really gone anywhere because the respective governmental bodies didn't really see the ROI on it, but it is still out there. He does still inquire about it occasionally. One thing that we would need to look at if this was to come to fruition is Title IX impacts. Because we're bringing Godwin Stadium up to Buck Hardy standard right now, and then if we bring Buck Hardy up again, then there's a danger of being out of compliance again.
Looks like, according to that picture, it looks like Excite might have a sponsor. I don't know. I mean, is this a partnership
It's
or?
just a rendering.
Yeah.
Just
Don't bring you on, just hopeful. They want to help with it since they benefit.
Yeah, I mean, they do still propose to cost share. What number that would be, we haven't received any information on that.
this is all consultant.
Yes.
Correct.
So these next few projects are all part of this concept, so I'll go through them and then see if you have any questions about them. So this represents new support buildings, basically constructing new facilities throughout the site, restrooms, ticket booths, merchandise area, replacing the press box, completely refurbishing it, and new equipment. This is the interior of the press box today. This is the exterior. It also includes new seating, so you can see this is the area as it is today. And this is the rendering of what could be reimagined to accommodate more seating and just a really improved user experience.
This is all part of the 6 million salary act. I see, okay.
These are sort of the broken out components of it. Here's just an overhead of the entire facility, which might help you kind of think about where these improvements would go. A lot of them are in this area here, although of course impacting the stands and the press box. So this is for premium seating areas, open air suites, four-top tables and chairs at field level. A social area, open air bar and furniture. And a video board, so a digital board that includes camera and all of the controls associated with that. So those are the suite of projects associated with that $6 million plus proposed aspirational project. Any questions? All right, I'm moving away from Legion to Robert Strange Park. So if you've been to this facility or if you haven't, I encourage you to go and walk around. This facility is in dire need of improvement and it's well loved and well used, as you know, and it shows. So certainly replacing the fencing is high on our priority list as a staff level. On all 3 of the fields that are at Robert Strange Park.
And that's standalone.
This project is to replace irrigation on field 1. This is the field that's closest to the community center. So this one here. There's also, this field is well loved. They play football, all kinds of things are happening out on these fields.
Could you help us with the map here, the big map? Point out what some of the things, other buildings.
Sure, yep. So here's the main entrance, the front door for the community center. This is, of course, tennis and pickleball, which have recently been resurfaced.
Maybe point out where Williston is and give them a sense of the fields that the schools play on. So.
Help me, oh, over here, yeah,
Here.
pointer, Davina. Here, oh, and uses this. Sorry, Mr. Garfield.
Yeah, Williston is across the street, across 10th Street from the Fit for Fun Center and Fitness Center. We are currently in the process of constructing an additional gym in this area. Should be done hopefully March of next year. And this is the field that the baseball team uses from Williston. And they do use these tennis courts for middle school tennis. And I believe softball field is, yes, softball field is used by Wilson softball team.
Yep.
Athletic field lighting is another one that is in dire need. This does include replacing the poles as well as converting to LED fixtures and new electrical conduit and controls. That's estimated at about 1.2 million.
That's a whole.
I'm surprised there's so many ones.
Yeah.
So that concludes the overview of the projects. I'll kick it back over to Amy to talk about the survey.
So we did, about 10 years ago, we had a meeting with our long-term facility users to gauge their input on projects that they would like to see. we went back out again, earlier this month and requested input from New Hanover High School, the Wilmington Sharks, and, the Port City, Football Club, the soccer team. And so just wanted to share the feedback with you, and we categorized it as, you know, a higher priority, intermediate priority, and a lower priority. I wouldn't necessarily call it lowest, so I would say maybe lower. I think that I changed that in the current version, but anyway, we'll go through these. You can see, there, as I go through these, there, you will see a sort of a crystallization that there is a bit of a difference in terms of what the schools would like and what the Sharks would like in terms of Buck Hardy, because, you know, for them, it's entertainment, you know, that's where they make their revenue. So things like the new support buildings, the video board, the things that you saw in that $6 million project are a little bit higher. There are 2 items in their list of priorities that were listed as priorities by the other users. Robert Strange ball field fencing was listed as a high priority by New Hanover High School and as a lower priority by the soccer club, as well as the Robert Strange field lighting, which was ranked high by New Hanover High School and high by Port City soccer. And so that was an interesting development, and, you know, both of those groups do a lot of good in the community and do a lot of work with area youth. And so it was heartening to see them take those projects into consideration, even though they will not receive any direct benefit from that. So that was an interesting strategy that they took.
Did you do a survey to each one of them? I mean, how was that done?
Yeah, we sent an electronic survey to each of them with the same questions, listing all the projects that you just saw in the presentation and asking them which is the most important from the top to the bottom. And so next slide is, this was New Hanover High School. And you can see, this was interesting, their very highest priority was that handrail installation. So they may have heard that that is a safety concern from the parents as well. And the grandparents, yes. And so again, you see that the field improvements at Buck Hardy Field, installation of synthetic turf was second for them. And that also was on the Sharks list. So there was some crossover there. And then the field house replacement was the 4th most important to them. And then of course, you see the Robert Strange projects on there as well. And then the last user group too, we surveyed, interestingly, they have the concessions and the additional parking enabled by the fire trap tower remover is 1 and 2, which didn't make it to New Hanover's or the Sharks. Again, you see the Robert Strange projects on there. And they actually put the Robert Strange irrigation project in there as well. So analyzing all of that, among the 3, the highest priority projects were number 1, Robert Strange lights, number 2, Robert Strange fence, number 3, Robert Strange irrigation. Following that was the replacement of the Legion Fieldhouse, and following that was the Buck Hardy synthetic turf. So those are in the consultant budget. So again, show some urgency for getting that consultant funded, hopefully in fiscal year 26. And then, you know, when we get that report back, we will retain, you know, this priority information, and as we get funding to program those into the future budget years, we'll take that priority into consideration.
Okay, Amy, do we have a separate slide for that summation you just?
Nope, but I will send it out in the minutes.
Yeah, can you repeat that, just that
Sure thing.
last summation? Yeah.
So among the 3,
Yeah.
the top priority was the Robert Strange projects. And
Which are?
lights were number 1, fencing number 2, irrigation number 3.
I feel like some of the stuff is fencing, it probably can be covered under the money left over. And then the handrail, and that's 20,000.
Great. And then after the Robert Strange projects was replacement of the field house. And then installation of the synthetic turf at Buck Hardy Field. And so the next slide shows what the city had currently requested of the CIP. You don't need to pay too much attention to this slide because again, our strategy since we put this together has changed in that in fiscal year 26, I think we'll be prioritizing to our city management that we would like for the consultant to be funded. And then some of those smaller projects like the handrails and fencing. And then what the consultant's report comes back will inform the next 3 years.
So nothing in 25.
The city does not have anything funded in fiscal year 25. Our CIP budget was very lean, to say the least. So we don't have anything for any of these projects in 25. So we'll be looking at 26, which is not a bad thing because that gives city staff time to plan with Tara and Eddie to see about what we're suggesting with the consultant going forward in some of the smaller standalone projects. And so these are the next steps, continue to coordinate with Tara and Eddie and other levels of staff at the city and county to agree upon a prioritization needs and make similar recommendations in our respective capital improvement plans. Again, as we said, we will be updating the costs that we currently have for the standalone projects between now and October. And so we intend to come back and share those with this group at your October meeting. So that lines up really well. Our CIPs do at the end of October. This group meets again in October, and it gives us a few months to synthesize things with the county schools.
So Amy, if I could summarize, I see 13 projects. One of which, of course, has five subcategories. That's the $6 million. But we call 13 projects that are listed here. We need from this committee the approval to go forward with finding the cost of the consultant, or because we don't have that yet, and that would be in 2026. To come up with essentially a CIP for all of these projects here, of the 13, to give us a prioritization of which we have a balance, loosely say, from the synthetic turf project at Legion Stadium of $195,000. So as we need to wait until October to get updates on some of these projects, but I see number 2 as the concession upgrades, sorry, number 2 of the 13 at $130,000. The handrails at $19,500. That's in today's dollars. We know that's going to be updated. And the irrigation, Robert Strange Park at $19,500 as potential immediate or standalone projects that can be funded by the balance that we currently have. Is there anything I've said wrong in that?
No, I think that was an accurate summary, and we'll have a cost for the consultant by October, so we'll know what that is. But yeah, I'd say that summary is accurate. And again, so while we don't have all the information for you today, what we are asking for you to consider is a recommendation for the city to work with, or excuse me, for the county and the schools to work with the city on developing a 5-year CIP. that includes a consultant's work.
Tara, are you on yet? Can you hear us?
She said that she could hear us, but she wasn't able to talk to us even though she wasn't muted.
Oh, here we go.
Can you hear me at all now?
Yeah, hey, there you are.
So I've been here the whole time. Yes to Commissioner Barfield's question. I don't know why it only works sometimes in Zoom. I think it says nope if it's not Teams. I'm not doing it for you. So, but I'm here, yes, and I got you.
So, yeah, let's go back to Commissioner Barfield's question. Jonathan, do you want to re-ask that question?
She just said yes, so I'm good. Let's move on.
Okay, good. And Tara, is there anything you want to add with all the information? You said you've heard the entire presentation, correct?
I've been here. I can see you, and I was talking, and
Yeah.
you didn't hear me, so it's okay. Amy texted, so that worked. But no, I don't have anything to add. We'll work with Eddie and Amy, and you know, we compile our capital projects together, and we usually start kicking it off in November, December, and they're due generally in January. So the timeline sounds fine to me.
And Eddie, from the school's point of view, staff-wise, is there anything you want to add, or is there anything you'd like to bring to the table?
I would say that, you know, first of all, that Amy and Sarah, you guys did a great job, and you know, I agree with the plan moving forward. I think that you know, hiring a consultant to do kind of a feasibility analysis, cost estimate, and then, you know, we would have information to prioritize those projects into a 5-year plan. Yeah, there's some of the projects that I have some concern. You know, I think we talked about, you know, Title IX, and you know, there are improvements that are above and beyond what school facilities would typically require, or that we would have, creating some, I guess, some inequities within our athletic programs. But you know, we can look at those closer. I think that timeline is good. We'll have some cost estimates for consideration in the upcoming budget process. I mean, Commissioner Zappel, you know that you know, the schools didn't receive any capital funding this year,
Yes.
other than our lottery funding. And so you know, that if we decide to move forward, you know, there's a third that would be paid by the county, a third that would be paid by the school system. And so I would just hope that that 2/3 would be above and beyond the capital needs of the school system, or at least could be prioritized within those needs. Because I'll be honest, the greatest need that we have is our current facilities and the infrastructure. I mean, we come to work every day wondering what school is, you know, we've got a power issue. HVAC is just an ongoing battle. You know, 3 days a week, we've got HVAC issues, and, you know, school is down, and that's what we're struggling with. So, you know, the biggest need for the school district is, you know, just the infrastructure and renovation, modernization of our existing facilities.
Eddie, when you say existing facilities, you're referring specifically to the bricks and mortar of the schools, not any of what we're talking about today, correct?
That's correct.
All right. Thank you. Is there any comments or discussion from the committee members on any of the information that we've heard here? Kevin, excuse me, Councilman Spears, I see you joined us. Can you hear us all right?
Yep, I can hear you just fine. I missed part of the conversation, but I'm certain Miss Beatty can get me up to speed in the near future.
Well, I think in summary, there's a whole lot of things that need to be done and not enough money. So we're trying to sort that one out. And I know that's not, you know, unusual in in your conversations with the city, Councilman Spears. Commissioner Barfield, any comments or discussion points?
I'm good to go.
Good. Chair Willimore, any thoughts on your part?
Thank you, Mr. Zappel. Yeah, I would agree with what Mr. Anderson said. I think we do need to have a realization. You know, I think there's a lot of needs in the schools. As you said, brick and mortar. You know, and you know, I think New Hanover's, you know, the number one in my mind and thoughts. In addition to the HVAC and all that kind of thing. So, you know, we do need to make sure we can balance the needs at you know, Legion Stadium with some of those other very, very important needs. So, but you know, love to see the, you know, the whole plan. I think this commission can do a great job in putting that forth.
Commissioner Zappel,
Yes,
a question, if I may.
of course. Go ahead.
I heard the mention of the needs of the school system. And so I think this is a question for all residents of not only North Carolina, well, not only of New Hanover County, but of North Carolina. But can we get a breakdown of how that NC lottery money works and where does it go?
Yes, but you're not going to like the answer, Councilman Spears. I'll just kind of jump ahead in the conversation. The lottery, which had great aspirations, and a lot of people in the state of North Carolina really support it. And unfortunately, they don't, I'll just go out on a limb here and say they don't fully understand when they see the wonderful advertisements that as they buy lottery tickets, they think they are supporting the school system and schools throughout the entire state, which to a small percentage they are. Unfortunately, our General Assembly put a cap on the amount of money that is revenue side that comes from the lottery. So by putting a cap on it, I mean they raise, and I'll just pull a number out of the air, $300 million or $400 million in the course of a year, but they put a cap at around 100. I believe it's there's a percentage raising, so it's around 110, $120 million that they actually spread out to the 115 school districts throughout the entire state.
Plus charter schools.
Plus charter schools. So that you can do the math on that, and by the time it filters down to New Hanover County, what we should be getting when you look at the large gross revenues, it's much, much less. And I think we're in the $1 to less than $2 million per year. It's unfair, Councilman Spears, in my opinion. And I think the population of North Carolina would be outraged in general if they really understood what's happened, because the rest of that money gets put into the general fund of the General Assembly. So when you hear terms like we have a rainy day fund or we have a surplus at the General Assembly, a bunch of that money is actually coming from the lottery and should be going to the bricks and mortars of our New Hanover County schools. I hope that begins to answer your question.
Yeah, you provided a great answer to my question. I appreciate that.
Sure, thanks.
Commissioner Zappel, could I add one thing?
Please do, Eddie, yeah.
So just keep in mind too, that, and you're exactly right, we get about $1.7 to $2 million appropriated from the lottery each year, and that amount can vary. But when the lottery was first passed, there was also a corporate sales tax that went to schools to fund construction. So for the first, I think it was 3 years, you know, we received the corporate sales tax plus lottery. 3 years after the lottery was passed, the General Assembly eliminated the corporate sales tax. So we got about $2 million from each.
Wow.
So after 3 years, the lottery just, we were back to even.
Yeah.
So it's taken the place of revenue that we once received.
Thank you, Eddie. Yeah, and I am embarrassed to say I had forgotten about the corporate sales tax. I think I just, in defense of my own mental health, I had put it out of my mind. Because that is really miserable. When they did away with the corporate sales tax as well as capping the lottery. So, okay, I'm sorry, we went down a rabbit hole. I'll pull us back out again. Were there, I think, board member, Walker,
I want to echo Eddie's comments. I have seen the list that Eddie brings us every year, prioritization list, and it is pretty thick. And, we try very best to work with what we have as far as prioritizing, but it's all important, honestly. As he goes down, you're gonna hear from parents. So, I mean, and rightfully so, because it gets really hot here. But that's one of many things. But I'll say, I guess my question is, can we release some today or some of these funds we have left over for some of these projects to be
You can make
done?
that recommendation, and I think Jonathan's leaving, so if you want to get to whatever vote, sure.
yeah, thank you.
I think with Kevin.
Um,
We still have a quorum.
The only thing I'd add to that, Ms. Walker, is we don't know what these numbers are yet. And I think that what I read Amy right is that we need to hear the update of even those lower cost numbers. So we know what it is we're buying.
So if I could advise, maybe your mission is to hold on to those numbers for some of the lower priced projects, just general,
I mean,
instead of it being reimbursed back to them.
okay, well, it wouldn't be appropriate to do a motion of spending up to a certain amount. I mean, because I know we don't know it yet, but I just hate because we're not gonna meet again until.
Yeah, totally.
You could say
Right.
spending the remaining balance that was left on some of these things.
Okay, well, I'll make that motion and
All right.
that's okay to spend remaining budget money on, some standalone projects that can be spent.
All right, if I can refine that motion, and this is a motion to the board or to the commission, that we take the remaining balance from the synthetic turf replacement at Legion Stadium. That balance is $195,454. That we choose to put that towards some of the standalone projects that we have here. And we'll leave it up to Amy to bring us back the actual costs. But the motion is to not return that surplus or the balance to the three organizations, but to put it forward to these improvements. Is there a second?
I second that.
Thanks.
Good, is that,
Yeah.
Kevin, thank you. So I have a motion and a second for that. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, say nay. All right. There you go, we got some money to work with. The second, I also would like to bring forward a motion, or if someone wants to bring it forward. I believe Amy has asked for a recommendation from this committee to request a preparation of a 5-year CIP plan and also the funding for a consultant that would begin in 2026. The work of that, maybe I have that backwards, then maybe we need a consultant to help us prepare the 5-year CIP plan. Amy, can you advise me on that?
Yeah, I would request that this board consider asking the city, the county, and the schools to fund a consultant in the fiscal year 26 CIP plan and to simultaneously work on a 5-year CIP plan for the standalone projects.
That would be all three entities, staff to prepare that 5-year CIP. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Is that clear to everyone, all the board members? If so, do I hear a motion for that?
So moved.
I have a motion from Ms. Walker. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Chair Wildebohr. All those in favor, excuse me, discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Hearing none, we have, that passes. Is there any more work that needs to come before this commission? Hearing none, are there any other comments on any of the information that we've received today from board members? Yes, go ahead, Ms. Walker.
So I guess, Amy, would you mind, I'm not sure who we left it in, to get that together for the ribbon cutting or probably coordinate that. And I guess that could be probably best before school begins. I mean, school's at the end of August,
Or at like the first football game.
we could do that too. Yeah.
Wow.
Anybody have ideas on that, Pete or Kevin?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Can you say it again?
We were talking about the idea that we had to really get kids, students and parents and kids together for the ribbon cutting for the
Mhm.
turf. You had any ideas on a timeline, for that?
I think you're- I think you just mentioned maybe, definitely before school. I think maybe once, maybe the football team is out there practicing, maybe we could do it, and have the football players be part of it and all that kind of thing too. Maybe early August, early to, second week of August, maybe.
Oh,
It's kind of quickly, and it's kind of quick.
let me,
I'm happy to reach out to the principal. And anybody else who would request that I work with, and we can work at it from the staff level and then you can just get your input on the date when we have it. Okay.
it would be, kind of fun to do it if we could piggyback it onto, a game and, and have a full crowd there, so the people who
Oh,
pay
yeah.
for it, the taxpayers, could be there to enjoy it, and, they'll just look at it and go, wow, that's neat, but if we, focus it, gave some context, and had some, good-looking suits walk out on the field, they'll be excited about that, and we'll cut a ribbon and I'll explain why that turf looks so good. Your dollars at work. I think that could be a lot of fun. Yeah,
Here's my suggestion. When is
Sure.
the football jamboree?
there you go.
Unfortunately, that is not played at Legion any longer.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah, ever since COVID, it never came back.
Do we know why, Eddie? Oh, no.
Wow.
My understanding is they lost the sponsorship and, I think they're in Brunswick County
They are in
now.
Brunswick.
that stinks.
Oh, well. Guess we blew that opportunity.
Their homecoming's not until September, so it's kind of late. I'd like to do it earlier than that.
First football game?
Yeah,
Well,
maybe the first first home football game would be probably ideal.
I have to find that out. I don't have that scheduled.
As
why
a,
don't we get-
as a Harvard Viking alumni, it's kind of hard for me to go to that
Oh,
open.
come on. Maybe we'll play Hoggard. I don't know.
You can wear your Hogger jersey.
Yeah, you can be different wearing Hoggard jersey, if you dare. No. In the middle of the hand.
Oh, we know I do dare.
You do, yeah. I mean, I'm here for it. I'm here with my
You
hand.
can work on it for the staff
Yes.
level and keep it on the
Yes,
list.
please, that would be awesome.
Please,
You gotta celebrate some of the good things.
right, and to get a crowd there, however it is, but I think talking to Mr. Sutton might be a good place to start.
That's what I had.
All right, is there any other business? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a
Make a
motion
motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
That's
There